The conference room smelled faintly of polished wood and stale coffee, a sterile scent that clung to the air like a memory I couldn't shake. For 10 years I'd sat at tables like this one, surrounded by sleek glass walls and men in tailored suits who spoke in clipped tones about profit margins and efficiency. 10 years of late nights of code running through my veins, of building something that turned a middling startup into a tech juggernaut. And now, here I was, Elena Voss, the woman who'd architected their empire, watching it all end with a single cold sentence. "We're letting you go, Elena," Marcus Langston said, his voice smooth as ever, practiced in the art of delivering bad news without flinching. He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled beneath his chin, his gray eyes fixed on me with the detached curiosity of a man studying a specimen. "It's not personal. We've found someone more cost-effective. Business is business." The words hit me like a slap, sharp and deliberate, but I didn't let it show. My face stayed neutral, a mask I perfected over years of navigating corporate backstabbing. Around the table, the board members shifted uncomfortably, their gazes darting anywhere but at me. Cowards. They'd signed off on this, every one of them, Jameson with his perpetual frown, Claire with her tight-lipped smile, even quiet little Owen who'd once called me the heart of Nova Corps. Now they sat there, silent, complicit, letting Marcus wield the axe. I nodded once, my voice steady despite the storm brewing inside. "When does this take effect?" Marcus's lips twitched, a flicker of a smirk he couldn't quite suppress. "We'll need you for 2 weeks. Your replacement will shadow you, get up to speed. After that, we'll finalize your severance." He paused, leaning forward slightly, as if he were doing me a favor. "We appreciate your service, Elena." "Really? Service?" The word tasted bitter like ash on my tongue. 10 years wasn't service, it was sacrifice. I'd poured everything into Nova Corps, a tech firm that had been floundering when I joined, its servers crashing under outdated systems, and its clients fleeing to competitors. I'd rebuilt it from the ground up, line by line, crafting software that didn't just work, it revolutionized. Every transaction, every client portal, every security protocol that made Nova Corps a name synonymous with reliability, it was mine. And they were throwing me away for someone cheaper. I stood, smoothing my blazer with deliberate calm. "Thanks for the notice," I said, my tone flat, giving them nothing. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I walked to the door, a steady rhythm that echoed in the silence. Marcus's voice followed me, casual, dismissive. "Change is inevitable, Elena. You know that." I didn't look back. The elevator doors slid shut behind me, sealing me into a steel box that hummed as it descended 30 floors. My fists clenched at my sides, nails digging into my palms, but I kept my breathing even. Anger roared inside me, anger at Marcus, at the board, at myself for ever believing loyalty meant anything in a place like this. I'd been naive, thinking my work would protect me, that my value was self-evident. Now I saw the truth. To them I was just a line item, expendable the moment a better deal came along. The lobby of Nova Corps' Manhattan headquarters buzzed with activity, employees rushing past, their faces buried in phones, oblivious to the fact that my world had just imploded. I stepped onto the sidewalk, the cool April air biting against my skin. The city stretched out before me, a relentless sprawl of glass and steel, indifferent to my unraveling. My phone stayed silent in my pocket. No one had the guts to call, not yet. They'd wait until the fallout hit. And then it dawned on me, slow and sharp, cutting through the haze of betrayal. They didn't know what I still held. My software, the lifeblood of Nova Corps, wasn't just a product of my labor. It was mine legally, irrevocably. Years ago, when I'd first built the system, I'd insisted on retaining the patent. A precaution, I'd told myself, a safeguard against the unpredictability of corporate greed. They'd signed off on it without a second thought, too arrogant to imagine they'd ever need me beyond my paycheck. Now that arrogance would be their undoing. I walked home, my mind racing but my steps measured.
No rushed moves, no emotional outbursts.
I wouldn't give them the satisfaction of seeing me break. By the time I reached my apartment, a modest one-bedroom overlooking the East River, the plan was taking shape. I tossed my coat over a chair and opened my laptop, the glow of the screen casting shadows across the dim room. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, steady now, fueled by a quiet, burning resolve. 2 choices lay before me. Fight for my job, grovel to Marcus and the board. Prove I was still worth keeping or let them burn. The second option felt right, not out of spite but out of justice. They'd made their bed. I'd simply pull the rug out from under them. Legally, methodically, I'd revoke their access to my software. Without it, Novacore would collapse not through sabotage, but through their own short-sightedness. The system was too complex, too unique for some budget replacement to replicate. They'd learned that the hard way. I pulled up the patent documents, scanning the language I'd memorized years ago. Ownership of software rights, including all derivative works, remains exclusively with the original creator unless a transfer agreement has been executed. No transfer agreement existed. They'd built their empire on my foundation, and they'd never bothered to secure it. I drafted the revocation request, my fingers moving with precision, but I didn't send it. Not yet. Timing was everything. For now, I'd let them sleep easy. Let Marcus sip his bourbon in his penthouse office, smug in his victory. Tomorrow the game would begin. The next morning I woke at dawn, the city skyline glowing faintly through my window. I moved through my routine with quiet purpose, coffee brewing, hair pulled back, a crisp blouse that said I was still in control. By 8 a.m., I was back at Novacore, stepping off the elevator into the familiar hum of the office. Heads turned as I passed, whispers trailing in my wake. Word had spread fast. They all knew I was on my way out. Some offered stiff nods. Others avoided my gaze entirely. No one wanted to be caught in the crossfire. My office, soon to be someone else, was already occupied. A young woman sat at my desk, clicking through files on my computer. She couldn't have been more than 25, her blonde hair tied in a neat ponytail, her blazer pristine and eager. My replacement. I should have felt something: anger, jealousy, pity, but all I felt was certainty. She wouldn't last. Not here, not with what was coming. "Hi," she said, standing quickly, her voice bright with nervous energy. "I'm Sophie. I'll be shadowing you. I've heard so much about your work, it's incredible." I forced a small smile. "Good to meet you, Sophie. Let's get started." Marcus called me into his office before noon. His posture relaxed, that same smug glint in his eyes. "I assume you'll be professional about this," he said, gesturing towards Sophie's presence in the background. "We don't want any hiccups." "Of course," I replied, meeting his gaze without flinching. He chuckled, satisfied, oblivious to the fact that he was standing on a fault line about to split wide open. The day dragged on, a slow march toward the inevitable. I walked Sophie through the system client dashboards, security protocols, database integrations, answering her questions with detached efficiency. She was sharp, I'd give her that, but she was out of her depth. The software wasn't just code. It was a living thing, intricate and temperamental, built from my mind alone. No one else could tame it, not in 2 weeks, not ever. At 5:30, I packed up the last of my things, a notebook filled with early sketches of the system, a photo of my old team from before the company went corporate. As I passed Marcus's office on my way out, he was on the phone, laughing, probably congratulating himself on a clean break. He didn't see me pause, didn't see the faint smile that flickered across my lips. One more night. That's all they had left. At 6 a.m. The next day, I logged into my private terminal from home. The revocation request was ready, approved overnight by a legal contact I'd kept in my back pocket. With one click, Novacore's license to my software was gone. I leaned back in my chair, sipping my coffee, calm and certain. The first alert came at 8:32. A .m.an email flagged emergency. Internal system failure detected. I smirked. Right on schedule. By 9:15, my phone buzzed with the first call. Marcus's assistant, Tara, her voice trembling. "Elena, hi, listen, we need you to come in. There's a situation. Everything's down the client portals, the database it says it's a licensing issue. But they said the software isn't ours anymore." "That's because it's not," I said evenly. "I'm sorry, Tara. That's not my problem anymore." I could hear chaos in the background, raised voices, Marcus barking orders. Tara's breath hitched. "Look, can you just come in? Maybe we can." I ended the call. I wasn't going back. From my apartment, I watched the fallout unfold like a slow-motion car crash. By noon, Novacore was trending on X, headlines screaming about a catastrophic outage. Clients were furious, investors were pulling out, and the stock plummeted 20% before lunch. I refreshed the news feed, sipping my coffee, letting the quiet satisfaction settle in. Marcus called at 1 p.m. I let it ring 4 times before picking up. "Hello, Marcus." "Elena," he said, his voice tight, fraying at the edges. "We need to talk." "Do we?" I replied, my tone light, almost playful. A sharp exhale. "Come on, I know you're upset." I laughed, soft and cutting. "Upset?" "Marcus, I'm not upset. I'm just watching the inevitable unfold." He went silent, his breathing tense. "You've made your point," he said finally, his voice dropping. "We can fix this. You can come back." "Come back." I let the words hang, then continued, my voice steady as steel. "You really don't get it, do you? You thought I was replaceable. You thought you could toss me aside for someone cheaper. How's that working out for you?" "Nothing." Just the sound of his defeat sinking in. "Elena," he tried again, quieter now, "I'll double your salary. Triple it. Just—" "Marcus," I interrupted, my tone final. "I don't want your money. I just want you to understand something. You needed me. I never needed you." I hung up, setting my phone down with a soft clink. The room was still, the city humming outside, indifferent to the chaos I'd unleashed. I felt no guilt, no regret, just the cool, clean taste of justice. Novacor was crumbling, and I hadn't even broken a sweat. By mid-afternoon, the board got involved. Richard Hale, a silver-haired executive who'd always treated me like a necessary inconvenience, left a voicemail. "Elena, this is Richard from the board. We need to discuss a solution. We're hoping to negotiate a way to—" I deleted it before he finished. They weren't negotiating, they were drowning. The news kept rolling in. Lawsuits piled up, clients demanding compensation, shareholders suing for losses. The stock dropped another 17%, and competitors swooped in, poaching clients left stranded by the outage. Marcus issued a statement at 5 p.m., his face haggard on the live feed. "We're working to resolve the situation." A reporter cut in. "Is it true Elena Voss revoked your software access?" His jaw twitched. No comment. I smirked, scrolling through the X posts. "How do you fire the one person who built your company? This is what happens when you undervalue talent. Karma's a bitch, huh?" The internet was ruthless, and I was its hero. At 7:45 p.m., Marcus called again. I answered on the second ring. "Elena," he said, his voice raw with panic. "I need to see you." "Oh, that's interesting," I replied, leaning back in my chair. "You didn't seem to need me a few days ago." "I was wrong," he snapped, the words forced through gritted teeth. "Look, I'll give you anything, triple your salary, part ownership, just come back and fix this." I smiled, savoring his desperation. "You still don't get it, Marcus. You didn't just fire me. You treated me like I was nothing, like I wasn't the reason Novacor existed. And now you want me back? No. This isn't about revenge. This is about consequences." I hung up, the silence that followed ringing with finality. The next morning, the headlines confirmed it. Novacor faces multi-million-dollar lawsuits. Shareholders demand CEO Marcus Langston's resignation. By noon, the board had ousted him. A poetic twist I hadn't even orchestrated. They'd turned on their golden boy, just as they'd turned on me. My inbox flooded with offers, competitors, startups, venture capitalists, all clamoring for the woman who'd brought Novacor to its knees. I could have taken any of them, slipped back into the grind, built someone else's dream. But I didn't want that. I wanted more. I wanted mine. A week later, I sat across from Daniel Pierce, a venture capital titan who'd tracked my career for years. His office smelled of leather and ambition, a far cry from Novacor's sterile conference rooms. He leaned forward, eyes glinting with curiosity. "Elena, what's next?" "I'm building something new," I said, my voice steady, alive with possibility. "Not another corporate machine. Something better, innovation without the greed. A place where talent isn't disposable." He grinned, intrigued. "Tell me more." I did. I laid out my vision, a tech firm that didn't just chase profit but redefined the industry. A workplace that valued its architects, not just its bottom line. By the time I finished, he was sold. "We'll fund you," he said, extending his hand. Whatever you need. I shook it, the weight of the moment settling over me. This wasn't just a deal, it was a beginning. That night, I closed Novacore's website for the last time, their stock at its lowest in a decade. I deleted every email, every voicemail, every trace of the company that had defined me. They'd tried to erase me. Instead, they'd erased themselves. I stepped onto my balcony, the city sprawling before me, alive with promise. The past was gone, a smoldering ruin I'd left behind. The future was mine to build, and this time no one would ever take me for granted again. The best revenge wasn't destruction, it was proving I never needed them to begin with.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.